Today I want to show you my ultimate editable game pack. It is the ultimate pack for playing games in your OG or structured literacy, science of reading lessons to use whatever word list you have that you're working on and have a set of games that you can print off and play or play online. So I have both online versions and printable versions for you. Let me show you what I have here. This is a Google Sheet that shows many games. Now, a Google Sheet, not slides, but a Google Sheet is like a pad of paper where each page is another part of the file. So all the pages, they're called sheets here in Google Sheets, are listed across the bottom. This is the instruction page. Do you see it's marked red here? So the instruction page tells you what to do and how to play it. The brains of it is this page here that's called List for Games. This List for Games takes this list or whatever list you happen to put in and uses these words up to 100 in the various games. So I put in, this right now has a list of ccvc words, but I have several of the Fry lists here, first 500 words by 100 at a time. I have a set of CVC words. I have a set of, what else do I have in here? Silent E words with initial consonant clusters. But whatever list of words you have, you can pop that list in here, starting with the title in this row, and then the list of words here. And then that list is used in each of the games. Let me show you. So some games take 25 words. Some games use 35 or 36 words. Some games just use cards from as many words as you have, up to 100. So I didn't make it with room for more than 100. I figured 100 was the max that we would need for any one skill or concept that we're teaching. Let me show you. The first game I have here, sorry, not a game, that is just a set of flashcards. If you just want a set of flashcards that you can use to show the students and have them practice, or you can use the set of flashcards to show in your class if you're doing printable games. But so it's just flashcards. It takes that list of words and it randomly selects a word to use, and you would change the card just by pressing this button here that automates it and randomizes the list. So this button here randomizes the list. Now in all of these Google Sheets, when you first get it and it says warning, warning, you will also copy over an app script. Is it safe? And now you can look at this to proceed before you actually use it. And I'll show you how you can do that. But you can always see if something is safe. But I wrote this and I don't know how to write the crazy things that take data. So it is safe, but I will show you where to find that script. So if you go to this arrow here, now I like to have my display set up so that I have as little wasted space at the top as possible. And when I'm teaching virtually, I leave this much up here so I can always put, my uh, the screens up there. So when I'm sharing this with a student, I can see them and they can see me, whatever. So I always have some space up here. And so the student, when he has on his computer, always has space to put the cameras. So we're not covering up any of our work. But to get to the menu, you would have to hit the down arrow, and that reveals more of this. And the script is here in this where it says extensions. So if you look at extensions and go to app script, it's going to show you what's written in there. And it does things like say, get this active sheet, and you're going to take this range and you're going to randomize it. Okay, there's nothing malicious there. And for all of these, all it's doing is essentially randomizing. So it's going to take the list of names and you're going to randomize it. And you're going to then put it into T12 to U17, whatever it is, or the function to roll the dice is choosing a number between 1 and 6. And same thing here, and where to put that number between 1 and 6. So you can look through this anytime you have um, a, a Google Sheets that you're copying into your Google domain, into your Google environment. You can look at this before you deploy it, before you use it, and see if there's anything. It's like we're setting colors, we're setting background, we're setting fonts, we're randomizing things. It doesn't say anything like search for your email and send, put that in a file and email it to somebody else or something. I don't even know what what people can do. But you can look at this. You don't have to understand how it does what it does, but you can see that there's nothing malicious there. Anyway, so the first time you go to use the program, the first time you press this, it's going to say, warning, warning, you have to authorize the script. Follow the steps and authorize it. It'll say, proceed to the unsafe, and you say, yes, proceed to the unsafe. They're just saying that Google, have not reviewed the script that's in here that's doing the randomizing. But they provided the tools to do the randomization. They just haven't reviewed the way I've made it work within this Google Sheet. So it's there, it's safe, and you can authorize it. So the first time you do it and the first time you press the button, you'll get an error message saying you have to authorize it. Go through the steps, authorize it, and then come back. And when you press the button, it will work. So it'll just keep randomizing. And what I have here is a mask. And to use any mask or floating piece, you see how there's nothing around it? You have to click on it till you see these markers here that indicate it has been selected, and you'll see a white hand. When you have the white hand, you click again and you can move it. And I use this to help my students focus on continuously blending the word like this. I can cover and reveal. Or if it's a multisyllabic word, I can make it into a splitter and say, okay, read this part and then this part. Of course, don't need that for this word, but you can see that in a multisyllabic word, it can help focus your attention on part of the word at a time. But the white hand is what you're looking for, and that allows you to move the piece. So this is just the flashcards. The next game I have, and you can see the games listed down here, across here, and I've color coded it so that the uh, games that you can play virtually are green, and then the games that are printable only are in pink. So that's the flashcards. And then I have a roll game. This is something, let me move this up out of the way. You can see how that gives us more space. This is something that we've all played in a print version where you roll the dice and then you read a word under that column. So it just rolls the dice and you read the word and you mark it. Now I play this by sharing my screen and we just annotate. We mark, take turns annotating based on, your turn. You annotate with your color, and my turn I annotate in my color. We're going for 4 in a row, whatever it is you're going to do. So it's just a roll and read. Okay. And this populates the first 36 words from the list. The squares game, this is one that many of us have played. Using annotate, we read the words thrill, fled, and make a line, and the next person reads 2 words, stock, grin, and make a line. And eventually, when you enclose this, you put your initial in here, or on Zoom, I know my kids like to use the star, the check mark. Okay, I'll be the star and you be the check or whatever, rather than writing their initial. But however it is you want to do it, and then you count how many squares that you've made uh, at the end of the game. If I don't want to take too long at this game, I draw a line here and say we're only going to play in this section or whatever, this section, and we'll play that just to make it a shorter game. But I like this game because you end up reading the same words 2, 3, and even up to 4 times, depending, you're going to read it here, you're going to read it here, you're going to read it here, you're going to read it here. And it gives a lot more practice at the reading. So this is I call it the squares game. I know some people call it a dots game because you put your own dots in there. whatever you want to call it. This is something played by annotating on virtually in Zoom. So, and this takes the first 35 words from the list and pops it into this. And then I have a triple tic-tac-toe. Now, triple tic-tac-toe, I mean, you can play it as regular tic-tac-toe and have 3 boards, play this board and this board and then this board. But it's just a different strategy if we alternate turns and play on all 3 boards simultaneously. And I have under each game, if you scroll down, I have the instructions down here. Okay, so you can always see the instructions. But I would do this by um, sharing my screen, and then we just annotate. So someone reads flip, and he marks here with, sorry, I'm not in my annotate. He marks that one. And then I'll mark here, and I'm reading this one. And then he's on this one, and he reads this one. And then my turn again, I come back to here. So it makes you alternate the boards, and you still, one person is first on the board and second on the board. So you're never, with an odd number of boards, you're never um, uh, not taking turns on each board, but it just, just a different level of strategy and having to think about 3 different boards at one time. So, but you can certainly play 1 board at a time if that's what you want, and then have 3 boards to play with. So this is the triple tic-tac-toe, and it's played by annotating. And then I have a bingo game, same thing. This takes the same set of words and puts it on 2 different boards. So my student will annotate on one side, I annotate on the other side. And I call out the clues, and I don't just say find crab, I might say find an animal. And he's looking, and he might see crab, and I'm looking, and I might see clam or whatever else might be in here, and we will mark on here. Or I might say find a word that is a noun, a thing, and then tell me how to make more than one. And he might say clock, and it would be clocks. And I might say spot, and it's spots. Right, we added an S, whatever. I might say find a word with a short I, the sound. He's going to look through and find this one, and I'll find another one. And because I'm looking as he's annotating and I'm annotating, I can try to help give students an advantage for kids who need to win much more than they ever lose. I can generate the clues to help them win. So not quite just luck of the draw with some of the others, or luck of the roll with the dice, but I can help uh, materialize wins for my students who need them. So this is a double bingo. And then I have a ladders and slides game. Let me show you. Put me on the side here. And then I have a ladder and slides game, and this one is also played online, but this one I play by moving the pieces. Now, unless your student has authorized the script, and I don't ask my students to do that, I just say, I'll roll, you move your piece. So I roll because I've authorized the script, and I can roll the dice, and we're going to move 6. Now, to move the piece, you have to click it once to get the square around it, the rectangle around it, and the white hand. And once you have the white hand, you can move it. Okay, and then roll. And so you click and move. And these moved. Why? How did that happen? So these are just little images that you can move. You can put them wherever you want. There. Wherever you like. And I play. Where do I want this one? Here. I play. There we go. I play that if you land on a ladder, you say this word and this word. And if you land on a slide, for instance here, you would say this word and then slide down and have to say this word. So we get more practice by having to say the words multiple times and more chances to read the words. So that's the way I play on this, just to encourage. And you can move these wherever you like. They're just images that float around and you can move it, okay, like that. And again, roll the dice, move your piece. To move the piece, you must select it to get the white hand and then move it. Now, there are these three little dots. I don't know if you can see it, these three dots here. And those three dots assume that you want to put some kind of function here with that piece. We don't want to put a function with it. We just want to move it. So if you put your cursor on the three dots, you get your regular cursor. But if you keep your cursor off of the three dots, you get the white hand. You need the white hand to grab it. It's the hand that grabs so that you can move. Okay, so that's the thing you need here. All right, that's the ladders and slides game. And then I have a spiral game. Same words, same idea. Roll the dice, move your pieces, and we roll, get the, and select, oh, I'm in the way again. Select your piece and move it that many spaces. Okay. And you can play that if you land on the other person, you send them back so many spaces, whatever you like for what you want to do. Uh, but this is just read, roll and read, roll and read. And you can change the look of things by changing the color. If you want to change the border instead of blue, if you want to make it red or whatever, you can do that. You can change the way things look. And it's like, oh, we've got a new game. It's the same game, but changing some of the colors and things can make things look different to the students. And then you're always able to change the words by changing, updating the list. Okay. So that I have a race game. And this race game is, I've used this board for years and years and years. And it's one of my favorite games. And I don't know why. It's so simple, but the kids love it. And the way I play is the teacher gets the card and you read the card. If you read it correctly, you roll the dice and move your piece. If you like this, okay, click, get the white hand, take it here, take a shortcut. Good, you're down here. I play that if you land on the other person, they go back 3 spaces. But you have to land exactly on finish so that you could be stuck here forever reading words and rolling numbers, not 1, and the other person has a chance to catch up. So it's one of those that you never know who's going to win. So you could be ahead and lose, or you can be behind and win. And then I also play that when the teacher lands on the lose a turn here and here, the teacher actually loses a turn. If the student lands on lose a turn, well, that doesn't help me get more reading out of my student. So if the student lands on lose a turn, he has to read 2 cards, right? They feel like, oh, they didn't actually lose a turn, but they're getting extra reading practice in, and that's what I want, right? So if the teacher lands on it, they lose a turn. If the student lands on it, they read 2 cards on the in order to move for their next hand. And then I play when my students are not guessing as much and they're reading better. I play that if you read on my turn before I do, so if you read my word before I do, you can steal my roll. And it it has been so motivating for kids. It's like, oh, they said my word before I did. How is it that I was so slow on that turn? I don't know, but they get to steal my turn, and they, so it keeps them always engaged, and they're always trying to read, even if it's not their turn. Because when you play the games where kids are taking turns, it's like they tune out if it's not their turn. This keeps them engaged, and it's like, oh, you read my word before I did. Good for you. And you can uh, they can move ahead, so they get the advantage, but then they could be stuck here for a million turns, uh, continuing to read and roll because they didn't get the 1 or whatever it is they needed to win. So I like this game. Now, this game is an image that's in all of these cells here. It's all been merged into one cell, and there's an image put in that cell. This image is replaceable, and I'm going to show you that you have the option to do that. So this is the board I have in there, but I will show you at the end all the other boards. I have linked down here along with the instructions. I have a link to a Google Slides that has more boards. So you'll have many boards that you can put in here. So they're all formatted so they can go right in, and I have instructions on how to do that. All right, so that is my race game. I have a pathway game, which is very similar. It's get a new word, read it, roll the dice, and when you get a number, you're going to put your piece on. See, now I hit the three dots. I want the white hand. I'm going to put my piece on that number, and I'm trying to get, however I can, to get across from one side to the other. I can place it anywhere on the board, but the objective is to make a continuous path from one dark hexagon to another dark hexagon. And it can go in any direction you like, but you want a continuous unbroken path. Now, students love it because they love to say, okay, they've read and crack, and they roll the dice, and a 2, and let's pretend it was a 4. My student would say, oh, I'm going to block you, and move there. I don't know. They love doing this, and that's okay with me because they're going to be reading more words, and that's what I want. So this is just for practice. And often when I'm playing any of these games and a word appears, I will ask them one more piece of information about it. Why did we use the CK? Oh, okay, it's because it's after that the short vowel here, the sound, or I can say, what does that CK tell us, or whatever it might be. I can keep asking or teaching information about words as I'm doing this, like crack. Oh my goodness, you know that it can be like a crack a whip. It can be something you do, like he cracks the whip, or I cracked the whip and made you work so hard. And it can also be something that's on the sidewalk, like don't step on the crack, whatever. So I can keep teaching as they're doing this, and as they're trying to figure out where they're placing their piece, I'm going to keep talking. And I might not have their entire focus as I'm teaching that, but I can tell you it sinks in. I have seen it sink in. So this helps with that. So that was another virtual game. And these where the students have to move a piece. You share the code with your student and ask them to get into the file. So I know some people just share remote control, and I've had students who've totally messed up my boards and it's like, oh my goodness, I just X'd out of your window when they had remote control. So I generally don't give remote control, but if your students are great, you can do that. What I do instead is I come up here to the share, and I say anyone with the link can edit, and I copy the link and send it to them. Now, I would not do this with the master deck, the master file. Keep that master file clean and nobody else touches it but you. But make a copy of it for your student and send it to them. And that way, if they mess anything up, you're fine. You just delete that one and make another copy. Or you might have it so you have one copy for each student or group, and because this one's working on this concept and this student's working on this concept, and you're going to use another set of words for that student, you can make multiple copies of this file for each student and then have it populate with the words that you're using for that student. So keep your main one clean and don't share that one out. All right, but I would make it so that anyone with the link can edit, copy the link, send it to them in the chat, and let them work with me collaboratively in this file. Okay, so I'm going to push this up out of the way. Do you see how it has so much space here? By pushing it up out of the way, I reduce that space. All right, so that is the pathway game. And then I have a Connect 4 game. And here, again, read the word. Oops. Sorry, the first time it comes up, if you've just changed the list, it's still remembering the word that was in there from a previous list. So first time you pull it up, hit a new card so you get a word from the current list. So read the word, take turns placing your piece. And again, you need the square around it, you need the white hand, and you can move it. Okay. I don't have an easy way to retrieve all the pieces. And I have to tell you that sometimes I've just deleted that file and made a new one. Or you can make a copy of this, duplicate this. Here we go. So now we have a copy. Play it, play it, play it, play it. All the pieces are there. I'm done playing. I don't want to have to move all the pieces back. And I just come through and delete. You see this here? Delete that sheet. So keep one, but you can make a copy and play on it and then delete it. You don't have to worry about moving anything back. Okay, those are the games that you can play virtually over Zoom or Meet or whatever you want to do with your virtual students. I've also done this in groups and with individual students in class where I've projected this either on my computer or up on the TV screen and had them work to move their pieces and they could see it up on the screen. So I've done it different ways. So even with my in-person students, I've used my virtual games because it's less for me to lug around. I have a computer that comes with me that goes into my groups, and I'm not, carrying my whole stack of games. Anyway, so those are the virtual games. Let me show you the game board. Let's see. Now, I can't see that game here because there's too many games open here. If I go to this All Sheets button right here, that gives you a list of all the sheets. See? So it was my race game here that has this. And this link here with these instructions down here tell you how to put in a new game. So let me show you the other game boards that are possible. It is a Google Sheets and you have the game boards, and it's not quite 8.5 by 11, and it's definitely not the 9 by 16 or 16 by 9. It's slightly different so it fits in the board well, but all of these can be used, and you can even print these if you want. So this is the one that's in there, right? And this is just an image, but I have these, and these are editable. Okay, so it's the same thing. Just come in here and look at this. I don't want yellow, I want a different color. And you can change the color scheme of your board just by changing the color of each, the fill of each cell. Okay, so this is, my autumn one, and this is um, my little girl who loves pink and purple one. And you can take the words and put them in different spaces, but I have to tell you that this arrangement really works well. And you can go in and put another image in the background if you want. So you can have an entirely different look with the same concept. Okay, this one is just fewer spaces, but it's just, help Spot find his bone. And you just read the words and move your piece along the path. And then I have this game with the hexagons. And this is the, a basic one. But it can be put like here. I just have a background behind it and I have some images in here that I put in, and then I download the image and uploaded it here. So this is an image. This one is not editable, but this is so you can see, you can take this image and stick it into that game board. This one is editable. You can come in and put an image behind it. You can change the colors, whatever. Here, I did one, same thing, with more of the fluorescent colors. And here I just changed the colors and I put a Minecraft image behind it. And now I've got a Minecraft game for my student who loves Minecraft. And it just looks like a different game. It's all exactly the same, and it's the same concept of read the word and move your piece, but whatever it takes to keep the students engaged. So, and all of these can be printed. So it's not quite 8.5 by 11, but it prints well. So if I were to do my Control P to print any of these, oh, I have it for black and white right now, but if I made a color, And there, you can print these off, laminate them, stick them in sheet protectors, and then you have a a printed game to play. Here. Okay, so you can see it's not quite 8.5, 11, but it prints okay, and you can play it. And this is printed with fit to printable area. And I would not print this as two-sided, but in any case, there you have it. You can print these games and have a printable game board. And if you print the board, you can then use the flashcards, or I have the option to print the cards. Okay, so those are the virtual games, and then how you can change this to make a different game board for your virtual games. And then I have other printable games. It's the same concept, the same games, but in a format that prints on 8.5 by 11. So if I go to print this, see it's formatted for an 8.5 by 11 fit to width. Okay, and you would just use your own dice, roll, give each pair of kids a set of dice. They would roll and play, and sheet protectors and dry erase markers, and you've got centers going here for practice with these games, and partner work, whatever. Cancel that. So this is the roll and read that's printable. This is the squares game that is printable. Same thing, in sheet protectors, and you just mark your squares as you're reading the words. The spiral game is printable. And you can use grayscale if you want. I tried to make it as simple as possible that in grayscale it really doesn't use much ink. The Tic-Tac-Toe, I don't have a color background on this, so as it's printable, just a real fast print, and you can have this as, again, centers or partner work. So all of those are printable, and then the chutes and ladders, again, this one, all the others print in landscape. This one prints in portrait, like that. Before you print, just make sure that sorry, not chutes and ladders and slides are haven't been moved, because it's easy to accidentally move them around and then you've covered up a word. So just take a look at it, make sure it's okay before you print. And then you can print cards if you want. So I don't like to print off on all the paper. If I have the option of just having an iPad or a computer, and you just hit with the flashcards, go up here to flashcards, and you can just hit this, and so you would read these as you're moving on your printed board. But if that's not an option and you need to print, I have it set two ways. I have two-sided cards, so it takes those words and you can print it in two-sided, and then the name of the deck, whatever name you gave that deck, is printed on the reverse side of the card, or you can just print it in one-sided cards like this. So for all of these cards that you can print, Control P, it's going to come up like this first. So you want to hit not fit to page, but normal, 100%, and you want narrow margins. Okay, then it works out. So you want portrait, normal, narrow margins, and then it will print on paper well like this. Okay. Now, it's set up to print 10 pages, assuming you have 100 words. If you've only put in 36 words or 25 words or whatever it is, just print off that many cards. So then when you go to print, let's say I only had 25 words, that means at 10 per page, I need to print 3 pages. Then come up here to pages and just say 1 to 3 and print those. Otherwise, it's going to print all the pages with the blanks. So for one-sided cards, it's 10 per page, right? For the two-sided cards, because it alternates between the words and then the back and then the words and the back, and that was the easiest way to get it to just print, you would hit So if you have 25 words and you want 3 actual pages, you're going to print six pages. So you have the front, the back, the front, the back, the front, the back, and don't print the extra. So let me show you what that looks like. Okay. So in printing, so it would print up, and can you see that it has just very faint lines here, which would be your cut lines, and it matches up front to back. I tried to make it match as best as I could, but it's close enough that if you cut on it, you're going to be fine. So words on one side, the title of that deck on the other side if you need it, and you can cut them apart. Okay. Let me go back and show you the list and how fast it is to change up the words. So I had in there, let's say right now, I just had changed it up and I put my silent E words with initial consonant clusters in here. And so all of these words are here in all of the games. Okay. When I get to the race game, it still remembers the last word that was in there. So I'd have to hit the new card, and then it pulls from the new list. So you want to hit new card the first time you put in a new list for these games. But we've played that, and it's like, okay, in these games here, spiral game, we've played this. We've played this. We've played it with this order: score, crude, glare, flake. Okay, so we've played this. I'm still working on this list, or we still need to review. Let me come back up here to my list. We've still need to review this. I just hit randomize, and it takes the list that's in there and changes the order. So now as I look at the squares, the list is different. The order of the words is different. It's or randomize those 100 words, and I might have a different 35 or 36 words here in this game. So every time you hit randomize, it takes that list and it changes it around so you can have a different order of words or a different set of the 36 of 100 words in that game, or for like the bingo when it's taken the 25 words. Okay, so flake, blade, stroke, crave. Come up here, randomize it. Scale, blaze, close, spine. Okay, so it changes up the list. So if you're still doing review on that, hit randomize, game's different. Now let's go back and look, and let's say I want a different list of words. This is how fast it is. I'm going to take the first 100, copy it down, Control C to copy, come up here to this space here, A2, Control V, and now I've got this list in here. I need to make sure though that what I've copied is as long as what was there. Because if I've copied, you know, 25 words and there was a list of 100 already there, it still remembers the other words. You have to delete the previous words and then copy in the new list. But now, as I go to any of these games, I've got my first words from my first 100. Okay. If I want to change it, I randomize it, and I've got a different set. Or if I only want to deal with the first 25, let's say I only want through 25, I'm going to take the rest of these out. Gone. But you know, in these games, you can see it doesn't fill. So what I would have to do is take these 25, copy it, paste it in again. I would probably randomize the list. And then it's filled and in a different order. Okay. So you don't have to use 100, but you want to be able to fill all the spaces. So you want at least that 25 to 36 words. So if your list has fewer than that, just put it in a second time and you'll have some duplicates. Okay, so that's how fast you can change the list. You can always have a fresh list for review for your students, and you can have a fresh file for each group of students. So if this group or the student is working on the CVC level, you can put that in, and you can put in just a list of CVC short A or A and O, or whatever it is that you've been working on, and have that list. But this other group, they're at a different level. You could have those words in, make another copy of your template of this file, and put those words in the list, and you'll always have games for your students. I hope that's helpful. I know it's probably overwhelming that there's so many choices, but I like choices, and I know as teachers, choices are nice. And with students that struggle, choices are really important. And sometimes I'll say, okay, what game do you want to play? Which one do you want to play today? And give them that choice, and that voice helps. So if you have any questions, please contact me. Let me know that you what you need, or how I can help you make it work for your students. And let me show you my. There we go. This is how you can contact me. So if you take your camera and point it at that, that's my information for my email, my website, my YouTube channel, my TPT store, uh, and you can contact me and I will try to help you out. Good luck. Thank you. And I really do hope this helps you with your students.